Hi guys, it's Beton and Sip, and
Hi,
we are
everyone.
talking today about limited heroic commons and uncommons in the upcoming Shadow of Galaxy set from Star Wars Unlimited. We will be, as always, starting from the bottom and go to the top of the tier list. So we are starting with the cards that you don't really want to play, and ending up on the cards that will be first pickable. Okay, so let's start with the first card, and it's Cripple Authority. Draw a card. Each opponent who controls more resources than you discard a card from their hand. Just don't pick it, don't play it, don't try to make it work. It's terrible. And you will just feel bad if you play it.
Yep.
That's what I can say.
Yep. We can move on to the next one.
Yeah. And as in any videos, we will be skipping cards that we were talking about in the previous videos. So we talked about few of the mono heroic cards in the second video. And if you want to check them, please go check the video as well. And the second card is Gentle Giant. Some people may be surprised that we put it so low. It's a 6 mana 2/8 Wookiee with grit, and he has on attack, you may heal damage from another unit equal to the damage of this unit. Why did we put him at the bottom? Mostly because he is really bad. He basically don't have any ability. He has a 6 mana 2/8 grit, which is not great. He may see a little bit of play in Rey, because she can boost him, but those stats are just too bad to make him playable, because your opponent will never attack into him, so he will never have any damage. And if you attack into your opponent, you only deal 2 damage, and then he will just kill you on the swing back. So for 6 mana, it's just not good enough to be played. Do you have something to add?
If he was a villainy unit instead, he would be good in Kira, but since he isn't, he is just where he is.
Yeah. The only deck I would, as I said, consider playing him is Rey, and there are so many better units in Rey that just don't. So now we have a Clone Deserter. 1 mana, 2/3, restore 1, bounty, draw a card. So tell us why we don't really want to play him.
Like, the unit isn't that great. Like, it's okay in Rey, but outside of her, he's not great. Like, it's similar concept with the Guavian soldier. Like, the fact that you can play him on turn 1, and it's kind of hard to fit him into the curve. Like, you can use Rey's ability on first round with him, which is okay. Yes, it's pretty good actually.
No, I think we should have put him the tier above.
Yeah.
Because when you mentioned Rey, that because on Villainy we had the same unit with Saboteur, which we put in the D tier. But I think because of Rey, he is strong in Rey. You want to play him in Rey. I think he should be a tier above in a C tier, so weak unless specific leader. And add notation: if you have Rey, pick him. If you don't play him.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we can go to the next unit. And this guy, I don't think even in Rey you want to really to play him. So it's a 3-town backup, 2 mana, 1/4. On attack, give another friendly unit +2/+2 for this phase. And he has Smuggle for 4. So I don't think you want to play him because it's a 1/4. His ability is really irrelevant because you need to have another unit that can attack this phase. So the only play, I think he is good if you play him on turn 1 on turn 2, you play a 2/2 shielded sentinel. You attack with him for 1. You buff the sentinel, and your opponent cannot destroy the sentinel. But if this is his best case scenario, it's terrible. And yeah, in Ray, she can buff him twice, but there are so many better units to be buffed that I think he will just be a nuisance that you will need to play sometimes to fill the curve, but you really don't want to play him.
Yep, and also the 1/4 stat line is not that great because there are 2 commons that have at 3 cost 4 power and 3 HP stat line, which really trades which just kills this guy, and because he only uses 1.
There is also
it's really awkward.
2 uncommons for 4 mana that has ambush and 4/4, which also makes it really because then he dies for free. Okay, let's go to the next card, and I think the next card is not this one, and not this one. Give me a moment. And we're back. Sorry guys, we had a slight technical issue that I forgot to put 2 cards in the list. So the next card is Principled Outlaw. It's a 4 mana 4/4 Underworld. On attack, you may exhaust a ground unit and has a smuggle for 6. So I actually don't think you want to really play him because 4 mana for 4/4 is a weak stat line. It's not bad, but it's not good. Most 4/4s have 4/5 stat line, so a lot of 4-drops will just trade up with him, and a lot of 3-drops on common has 4/3, so he will often die before he may be able to attack. And his attack, the ability to exhaust a ground unit, you really need to have initiative to make it work. So combining all the negatives that you have, he will be really unpredictably bad, and his upside is not good enough to want to risk playing him, at least for me. Sip, do you want to add anything?
Not really. I mean, he's okay 4-drop if you need a 4-drop, but outside of that, he's not really giving you anything that's spectacular.
Yeah. I would say one thing. If he had 5 HP, he would be a good card. But
yeah, he would be a good card, but just the stat line makes him not great.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the card that also should be a tier above, and it's Cartel Turncoat, and it's basically the same thing as with the other 2/3/4/1. We should have put him 1 tier above because he is really good with Ray. But in any other deck, he is a little bit unreliable. Because even though the drawing a card for your opponent is not that big of a deal, but it still is a value that you will lose when you play him. He doesn't really give that big of a clock, so your opponent can just don't deal with him for a few turns, and he will not lose a lot. And yeah, he trades with a lot of ships in the set, but I don't think it's enough for him to be really good. On the other hand, the fact that he is a 1-drop is not that big of a benefit with him because not many leaders have an ability for 1 mana to play alongside him when you play him on turn 1. And yes, with Ray, he is amazing, and we should have put it on tier above. But I think, as with the 2/3/4/1, it's an annotation. Play him if you have Ray as a leader. If you don't really try to draft or build around him. Okay, we are going to the next card, and it's Village Protectors. Sid, can you explain why we think it's actually a good card?
Because of Ray. Like even baseline, he's good because 3-cost 2/2 Sentinel is a good stat line with shielded. So he trades with some two drops, and basically if you give him shield tokens with Ray, he is even stronger. This card is only a common, so you're very likely to have it in your deck, and it's really good
experience tokens.
Yeah,
Sorry, experience tokens, we right. Yeah.
Yeah, and the card is just good to keep the Ray alive because it's a Sentinel, so Ray can be attacked.
Yeah, I will say also, even outside of Ray, this card is good enough to be played because on the fact that if you will be racing in the later stages of the game, having a Sentinel that will absorb to attack may make the difference for you to win the game. So he is not only decent in playing early, but it's also okay to play later in the game to slow down your opponent in the ground.
Yeah, it's just a pretty good free drop.
Yeah, and it's also the same with the next card. So Concord Down Interceptor, 3 mana, 1/4, Mandalorian spaceship. That's a Sentinel and an ability that if it's defending, it gets +2 attack. So it's amazing with Ray. We can tell that at the beginning. But even outside of Ray, it's a really easy way to stop aggression in space. And especially if you don't have many space units, or you have space units that require protection, he trades really well. On the other hand, he's a Mandalorian, so he benefits from Bo-Katan, and it's just a decent stat line. Because 4 attack in space trades with every single card that is his cost or lower. So he will always be an addition to the things you have. And I don't think there is anything else we can say about the cards.
Yep. I mean, it's slightly weaker than the villagers, I feel like. I think we should have placed the villagers above this guy. Because the Sentinel on the ground is slightly more relevant because,
I will actually disagree because Saboteur is a little bit more common in this set than it was before.
Yeah, I mean it is, but the problem with this card is the fact that if opponent doesn't play in space at all, it's kind of awkward to have this guy. But yeah, maybe they are close for sure.
Yeah, I think they are really similar, and yeah, you're right. If your opponent skips space, you will just deal 1 damage a turn. If you're not Ray, in Ray, this card is amazing, but it's good enough to not feel bad if you play him. And now we have a unit that I am really split about. It's a Sundari Peacekeeper. It's a 3 mana 1/5. Raid 2, Restore 2. And I will tell one thing at the beginning. If he would be a 3 mana 3/5 Restore 2, he will be at the first pickable card. But the downside that he has only 1 attack makes it really, really unreliable to play consistently.
Yep, like if he dies before he attacks, it's really a major blowout. In most cases, opponent needs only like 2 units to kill him. So yeah, he's sometimes awkward, but he's good to shut down aggro. Like if the opponent has early aggressive.
That's the problem. I think it's more if you are ahead. He is really good. But let's see it like a way your opponent has 2 small units, like 3/2 and a 2/2 on board. You play him, and he's basically a dead card. And for that reason, he is only a decent card. Because if you manage to attack with him, even once, he is good enough. He has a 5 HP swing with dealing 3 and restoring 2. He is amazing with Bo-Katan. He is amazing with Rey. But yeah, the one attack just keeps him on the level that is like average to the good side, not broken. Yeah. Do you have something to add, or can we go to the next?
Not really. We can go to the next one.
Okay, and next card is quite interesting. It's a 4-mana Vigilant Assault Ship. It's a space unit 3/4 Saboteur, and it has ability that if your opponent controls more resources than you, it gets +2 attack. And I will let you take a stab at this one.
Okay, so basically the on-attack ability is not that relevant. Like, it's okay if you're the more aggressive player and you have slightly cheaper curve, but yeah, like he's kind of.
I can because I thought about something. You can purposefully skip adding resource if you have it on board to kill something that had 5 HP.
Okay,
you're still losing a little bit on it. But if you manage to kill like a space unit and he will survive, it may be a valid play. I just wanted to add it because it may be a play that some people may miss. That even on 4 resources, when you play him, the next turn your opponent adds the 5th resource, and if you will get enough value of not playing a resource and killing something, it may be okay to do it. Because then he deals 5 damage, and it's quite a lot. But even if he wouldn't have the bottom ability, it would still be a decent card.
I mean, in the case that you mentioned, like, I feel like it's only worth doing that against Punishing One. I don't recall any other cards that I would do this type of tricks against.
There is also the 1/4 Sentinel, but it's Sentinel, so you can skip attacking him, so that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you can just use Saboteur and attack base.
But you don't really need to do it on the, like, you can also skip a resource on like 6 resources if your opponent, if you have it on board. I just wanted to acknowledge that this is a play you can make when you have him on board. And I don't think there is really much to say more about it. There isn't really much shielded ships, so the ability will mostly be used to skip Sentinels, because there are few Sentinels in space. But that stat line is good enough to warrant playing him, even without the bottom ability.
Mm-hmm.
And Heroic Renegade is a 2-drop, 2/3 grit. Why he is better than the other 2/3?
Because he has grit and he works in hand. Like, in hand, he is just a 1-cost 4 attack unit with 1 HP, and that's a huge threat. Like, yeah, if you manage to play on the first round him and another 1-drop, then you have a really huge racing potential. It's just, you can also kill something quickly, like, depending on the situation and what you need.
I think the play that could be like absurd, if you have the 1-drop that deals 2 damage and him on the first turn, and you manage to kill the 1-drop of your opponent, and you in hand. I think
the unit that you're referring to is he needs a bounty hunter.
No, I mean the event, not the unit.
Okay, the raid. Okay, the raid.
But outside of Han, he is still just a decent 2-drop. Because, as we said before, there is a lot of 2/3 2-drops in the game, and he can trade really well with them, because when your opponent attacks into you, now you have a 4-power unit that can trade with something better. So because of those things, he's a better card than most 2/3 that we showed before. But we will, in a moment, show you 2/3 units that are just better than him. And the first one of them is Clan Rescuer. So it's 2 mana, 1/2 Mandalorian Trooper. When played, give an experience token to a unit. And you can target himself. So at worst, he has a 2 mana, 2/3. Sip, do you have anything else to add to him, or?
I mean, the fact that worst case scenario he is at 2/3 is a good baseline, and then you have the option to give the experience token to any other unit that you control. You can give it to leader, you can give to a sentinel or whatever, and that's just good value. Like, he's nothing amazing, but he's just a solid unit that is also Mandalorian.
And of course, we need to add he's amazing at Bo-Katan, and he's amazing with Rey.
Yep, everything is amazing with Rey.
Yeah, as is Q. I have spoken. It's 2-drop, 2/3, restore 1, and on attack, he discards the top card of your deck, and if it shares an aspect with your base, you basically draw it. So you return it to your hand. His ability is really strong. It is basically 50% chance to draw a card. If you have a deck built more on the other side, it may be a little bit more or less, but it's still a big enough chance to draw a card that it's relevant. Restore 1 is an okay ability. It's nothing to be like writing poems about, but it's still relevant during the game. He is amazing with Rey, because you can buff him and then he can survive for a longer time and attack for more. And on top of that, he's an amazing character from a really good show. So.
Yeah, I mean, you might think that discarding a card is a big deal in draft because you have only 30 cards, but the thing about the discarding with Quill is the fact that it only happens on attack, and he's a unit, so it's very likely that he'll die sooner or later, so you won't discard that many cards to make it a big threat. Like, it's a thing that you have to keep in mind, but...
I will let you talk, and I will be back in just a moment.
Okay, so... Yeah, that's the thing about Quill. And also the Restore 1 is just an upside that makes him slightly better than other 2, 3, 4, 2 resource units. And that's it, basically.
I just wanted to go back and get something. I have...
Okay. Oh, wow, yeah, that's a sweet one.
Yeah. That's why I have also put him higher, even though he is an amazing card. It's a really strong card, and it will be played a lot. But I think they really nailed him on the design side as well. So I think it's one of my favorite units from the set. Okay,
yeah, let's beautiful for sure.
Yeah, let's go to the next card, and next card is pretty basic. Yep. It's 3 mana, 3/4 with an unrelevant ability. It's on attack, you may ready a resource. Yes, this ability may sometimes do something, but it's not why you play her. You play her because she is a 3 mana, 3/4. It's a decent stat line. She has an underworld keyword, so she synergizes with few cards. Even though you can't play her in Cat Bane, there is still a 5-drop that brings her back. And I think that's all you need to have to be a decent 3-drop. Because it will trade with most 2-drops, it will survive most 3-drops, and that's good enough.
Yeah, I mean, the untapping one resource is only relevant if you have like 1 resource unit, or maybe you have Rey as a leader, so you can spend that resource
on 4 resources, you can play a 3-drop and a 2-drop. If you
you can also do that, but yeah, I mean, you have to...
Yeah, the relevancy is just, it will happen, of course, but you don't play her because she untaps a resource. You play her because she has a decent stat line.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Spark of Hope. So 2 mana, gain a resource. And even more than gain a resource, because in this set there is a lot of cards that you can play from the resource, so smuggle ability. So why is it not higher?
So the reason for it not being higher is that it's kind of clunky. Like you have to kill your own unit in order to get the effect, and sometimes it just might be something you don't really want to do. And also the fact that it costs 2 doesn't really do that much. Like if you play it on second turn, like you want to ramp on pretty quickly in the game, but sometimes like you can't really use this ability on the very first round unless you play Han, I guess, and you use Han's ability to kill a 1-drop or whatever, but that's not really a thing you want to do. But if you play it on the you mainly want to play it on the second, third, and maybe fourth round, I guess, but mainly the second and third round. So if you play it on 3 resources, then it's a 2. You paid for 2, and then you have 1 resource left over, which it's kind of awkward to spend that 1 resource on. And then on 4 resources, you have 2 resources of leftover, which you can play a 2-drop for. But yeah, like it's just a less consistent resupply and DJ from the first set.
I 100% agree. I still think it's a good card, and it can be amazing in some decks because, as I said, if you manage to bring a strong card with Smuggle back, it's just a better version. The fact that it costs less than resupply doesn't really matter because, as Sip said, you play it on the same turn, and it's really hard to play something alongside it. But even though it has some downsides, it still will be strong enough especially for leaders that will come out on 6 mana, because those are the leaders you really want to put faster, like Boba, like Rey, like Bo-Katan. But you will also need to you need to remember that whenever you play something that doesn't do anything on the board, you may end up in the situation that your opponent are ahead, and if they play enough cards that will keep them ahead, you may never recover the fact that you gain 1 resource. Okay. Now we got to a consistently strong card, so A tier. And first card in this tier is Adelphi Patrol Wing, a space unit that is 5 mana, 4/6. When playing, you may attack with a unit, and if you have initiative, it also gets +2 attack. But you always get the fact that you will always get it that they attack with a unit, that you attack with a unit. For me, it's a really, really solid unit. It has really good stats as a space unit. It trades with a lot of space units. It stays on the board. It deals enough damage to be a threat. The ability to attack with a unit is relevant because you sometimes really want to do more action than one in one action. So you play him, you attack, you can take initiative in the next turn. And if you have initiative, if you take an initiative on 4 resources and you play him, we all know how strong Fleet Lieutenant was in set 1. And yes, this card is more expensive. It has much better stats, and it's in space. And it only works half of the time, but you can play around it. And getting +2 on attack can make your trade really efficient. And for me, that's enough to make it a really strong card.
Yep, I mean, he has just a really efficient stat line for 5 cost in space, and also the 6 HP is a pretty good threshold for a space unit to have. Like, it's pretty hard to kill those units in space. Like Millennium Falcon deals 5 damage. There is the the ship that has 5/6 for 5 stat line in Red Heroism, so he can survive both of these. So just 6 HP is a good level to have.
Yeah.
This set at least.
Yeah, so I think we got all we need to talk about with this card. So let's go with the next card, and I think I will let you take it because it's card that you really like.
I mean, do I really like it? I mean, it's a card. When it was spoiled, I feel like some people were really hyped about this one. And
I think we were as well.
Yeah, I mean, she's just kind of awkward in practice. Like, if the opponent just trades with it when she's played, she is basically a 2/6 for 4 that was attacked, that just kind of forced the opponent to attack with a unit or have a ping or some sort of damage event, something like that, which is not great. Also, it's not that easy to give her shield tokens in this set. She has a good engine with Finn if you manage to do that, but it's really clunky. Like, I don't really recall that many effects that give a shield token in this set. Like, there's Luke in the first one, but in this one, I don't really think there are that many good ones. Like, Mandalorian armor, it has to be Mandalorian. There's a public enemy, the bounty, that
there is a few units
a shield token.
Yeah, there is few units that have a shield. I think the most annoying part about her ability and Finn ability is that you only can give the experience token to the card that you removed the token from. So Finn only gives shield to it, because if it would be like the other way around, if you could play a 2-drop with shield, attack with her, give her the experience tokens by removing the shield, she will be really strong. But without this, she is just, she is not bad, because her worst is still a 2/6 shielded. So it's a decent stat line. It's really good with Finn. It's really good with Rey. But a lot of people were praising her like one of the best cards in the set for uncommon, for limited. And after testing, she is just okay.
Yeah, and there are quite a few saboteurs who can just get rid of the shield.
Yeah. So for me, I would actually not really want to. If I like draft her and I have Finn, I may consider playing them, but it's really not the. I think on the like bigger picture, she will not be one of the stronger cards because the decks that she goes in, like Rey has a better card than her, even in 4-drop, and Finn. I just think Finn will be a little bit weaker than the top decks. So yeah, she's a decent unit, but she will not achieve anything amazing in the set.
Yeah, okay. I guess it's time to move to the Falcon.
Yeah. And now we have Millennium Falcon. So a card that is designed for the Lando leader and doesn't really make him stronger.
Yeah.
But on any other deck, this card is still strong because 6 mana 5/5 ambush or 6 mana 5/5 draw a card, playing from Smuggle, is just a good stat line. It will trade with a lot of units in space. What's keeping this card down is the fact that there is 2 common uncommon cards that doesn't trade with it. So every other 5 or 6 drops in space survives the ambush, because Saxon ship survives it, the 4/6 that we mentioned previously survives it, the 5/6 for 5 in red survives it. So it's not an amazing card in dealing with the cards that have the same cost, but the ambush allows you to kill a 3-drop or 4-drop, and then you still have a space unit that your opponent needs to deal with.
Yep, exactly.
And I think that's enough to make the card really good. And now we will talk about the card that will be really, really good. And it's a Waylay by Heroic. And it gets an additional, it's a spare the target, 3 mana. It returns a non-leader unit to its owner's hand, and you collect that unit's bounty. We know how strong Waylay was in the first set. The ability to respond to any threat you have on the board and make your opponent pay again for it, or remove any upgrades that the unit have, or just slow it down for the turn to not be attacked. It's really strong. The fact that you can collect the bounty makes this card much stronger in this set, because there is a lot of bounties on units that are playable. So I think it would just be a really, really good removal, and you will need to remember that your opponent can play it.
Yep.
So whenever you upgrade a unit, you need to have in mind, if they have Heroic Yellow, they might put it back into my hand. I might lose the advantage I had on the upgrade, and I should play around it. Do you have something to
add? Not really, besides the fact that, just there are quite a few units in this set that have a random bounty on them, and you might just get the benefit of the bounty sometimes. But yeah, that's it. Like the fact that it's a counter to upgrade is one of the biggest reasons why this card is that good.
Yeah. So let's go next card, and it's Night Owl Skirmisher, 3 mana, 4/3, Smuggle for 5, and it's a Mandalorian unit.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to talk much about this. It's a SWU-Racer stat line, so it's a good free drop. It has an additional bonus of being a Mandalorian. The Smuggle is an addition, but you don't really want to play it for a Smuggle cost. So I don't think we should spend much time on her. She is just a really decent, consistent unit.
Yep, exactly.
And now we have a really interesting one. So let's, I think I will let you explain how it works.
Okay, so L3 is a 2-cost unit that has 2 attack, 2 HP, and enters play. When enters play, she may rescue a captured unit or give a shield talker to herself, and also has a smuggle. And in the first set, she would be even higher. And the reason for her not being that high in this set is because the 3/2 stat line is not as common among 2-drops, and in this set we have more of a 2 attack 3 HP units the 2-drop slot. So that makes her slightly weaker. But on the other hand, the thing that makes her better than Crafty Smuggler in the first set is the fact that she can rescue a captured unit, which is sometimes relevant. There are quite a few cards that capture enemy unit. Not that many, but there are a few of them that just makes her still a good card. And also the fact that she has a smuggle gives you the option to rescue a captured unit later in the game, when they might just play the card that captures your unit.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add. She's just really good. The things that, as I said, that keeps her down was that there is not enough 3/2 units, and the fact that Saboteur is a little bit more represented in this set.
Yeah.
But now we have a unit that we don't really need to talk much about. It's a 3 unit that have a 3/5 stat line.
Yeah.
And no ability. It's a Wookiee. It's Fringe, Droid, Twi'lek, and Wookiee. The only relevant part is Wookiee, because she has a few synergies with Wookiees. But most of the other Wookiees are not really great. But that stat line is strong enough to be played. If she was in the first set, she would be one of the strongest cards for a 3 mana. In this set, there are better 3-cost units, but there is not a single deck that would be mad at playing her at 3 mana. So
yeah, and also the thing that makes her strong is the fact that there are at least 2 commons that have 4 attack, 3 HP stat line at 3 resources. Yeah. So this card just kills them and stays alive, which is a good trade in the early stages of the game.
Yeah, And now let's talk about Echo. So it's 4 mana, 4/4, restore 2, and when you play, you can discard a card from your hand to give 2 experience tokens to a unit with the same name. Okay, let's talk about him in 2 scenarios. The first scenario is he doesn't have an ability. His ability is clunky, but 4 mana, 4/4, restore 2 is not that great. Yeah, 4 mana, 4/4, restore 2 is not that great. But if you manage to use his ability, he is insane. If you manage to draft few of him, and because he can use his ability on himself. If you play him, discard Echo and give him +2/+2 tokens, or even if you use it on anything, you can use him on a leader if there is a leader that have a unit with the same name. I'm not sure if there is.
Yeah, I'm trying to think whether there is a one.
In Heroic, of course.
There is Bo-Katan, but she's a double red unit.
Yeah.
Besides that, I don't really recall that many. I don't really.
Yeah. So I think we.
There's a Fennec also.
Oh, yeah. So
and give Fennec +2/+2 is pretty good.
Yeah, and you can with Fennec you can also ambush him. That's really good. But
yeah.
I would put it in the 2 scenarios. If you don't have much units that you have 2 or more of, you don't really want to play him. But if you drafted him early and you play around it, that you want to have a lot of units with the same name, he is really strong. So I would consider running him if I have at least few units, the 2 of or 3 of. And if I don't, if all my deck is one-offs, I would only run him if he's just one of the few 4-drops I have and I need to fill the slot. Do you have anything to add to it?
Not really. Like, I mean, he's alright. Just a pretty good unit, and the his ability is just good.
Okay, and now Arm.
Oh, there is.
The Armorer that I found.
Okay.
So okay, she's a 5 mana 3/5 that gives up to 3 Mandalorians a shield. She is a Mandalorian herself, so she can give a shield to herself. Why do we think she is really strong? And where do we think she is really strong?
She's good in Mandalorian decks, basically. And even baseline, like, she really wants you to have a Mandalorian deck, but her baseline is pretty alright, like having a 3 attack, 5 HP with a shield token on it is alright, and if you manage to give 1 or 2 more shield tokens, then she's a really good unit. And yeah, like, she really wants to be in Mandalorian-oriented deck in order to shine.
Yeah. She will definitely be strong in the Mandalorian, in Bo-Katan. Do you think she will be okay in Fennec?
I mean, it really depends on how many Mandalorians did you manage to get from the packs or from the drafts, the draft pick that you did.
Yeah, but in Mandalorian and in Bo-Katan, she will be really strong. And at worst, she is 5 mana, 3/5 shielded, which is okay. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's not that bad to not be relevant to play, and there is enough Mandalorians in the set to make her really strong. Okay, and now we go to the 4 strongest cards in Common and Uncommon for Heroic. And on the 4th place we have Desperado Freighter. It's a 5 mana space unit that is 5/6. and I don't think we really need to talk much about him. His stat line is good to the point that there is not really other shape that can compete with him.
Yeah, the fact that he just trades really well with all the shapes that are in this set just makes him really good. Yeah. And also the ability to be played in hand at 4 resources as a 5/4 body in space is also pretty good.
Yeah, so that's why I think it's a first pickable common for me, because that big body in space is a big problem for your opponent, and it requires to be dealt with. And it's not really easy to be dealt with, because 6 HP, there is not a single ship in this set that has 6 attack. So your opponent will need to have something in addition to ship to deal with him. And the third spot goes to Ketsu Onyo. It's a Mandalorian Underworld Bounty Hunter for 2 mana with a 3/2 stat line, Saboteur, and if she deals combat damage to a base, you may defeat an upgrade that costs 2 or less. And to remember for everybody, shield and experience tokens are upgrades and can be removed with this ability. And this card has everything you want the card to have. It has Saboteur, so it goes under Sentinel, so it can always attack base. It removes shields. It has 3 relevant traits. It removes upgrades that, as we said, are really strongly limited. And a 3/2 stat line is really good because it trades with every single 2-drop that is relevant. And yeah, if you manage to keep her up and you manage to destroy upgrades later in the game, it will just be an amazing card.
Yeah, I mean, she really plays well into the whole theme of this set, where there are a lot of bounties, a lot of like random shield tokens and experience tokens that you can just manage to destroy with her ability. Also, a few upgrades for 2 resources, like the Brutal Tradition, the +1/+2, and yeah, she's just a good 2-drop, even baseline without using her ability. Just being a 3/2 with Saboteur is decent.
Okay, and I think we can go to the next card. So in second place we have Modded Cohort. And as we said in the previous video, 4 mana, 4/4 ambush is really good. She is weaker than Forlum because her 2 attack is in raid, not in her actual stats. And she doesn't have the threat of Zucus, but still 4 mana, 4/4 ambush is just such an impactful 4-drop. And the fact that she is common and you will basically always have her makes her really, really strong.
Yep. And she really synergizes well with Boba, because in Boba she's a 5/4 ambush, which kills basically everything that costs 4 or less.
She also synergizes well with Rey, because she can buff her.
Yep.
And then she's a 5/5. Yep. So, but even though she's amazing, there is one card that trumps every single common and uncommon in the set for me. And I think there is not even a single card that is close to the power level of Cassian Andor. And the sheer power of this card, I think it's a little bit understated. Because, okay, he's a 3-drop, 3/5 with Smuggle, and his ability only works when he is smuggled. But, as we said before, 3 mana, 3/5 is an amazing stat line. It's a stat line that can secure you ground really early in the game and you can build upon it because you can upgrade him. You can attack with a unit that gives him buffs. So it's really good to have him on the board. But what makes him amazing is the fact that he has really strong smuggle ability. Because for 5 mana, when you play him from smuggle, he comes to play ready and he can attack. And even though it may seem that it's not that strong, in race, in later portions of the game, it comes clutch to kill a unit that your opponent thought you will not have the ability to be dealt with, to kill your opponent by surprise. And he also is an amazing unit with Han, because Han can play him on turn 1 as a 3/3. And turn 1 3/3 units are extremely strong.
Yeah, especially in this set where there are a lot of 2/3 units for 2.
So combine all of it, and this unit is just insane. If you see him in the pack, unless there's a really good rare, or you play a different color, of course, you should consider taking him. Having few of him is also really good. Because, as I said, you can play him as a 3-drop, you can play him as a 5-drop. And on hand, you can also play him as a 2-drop. So that's all the cards that we prepared for this video. Do you have anything to say in the end?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would like to mention is the fact that we changed a few cards on the whim. Like we changed the 2/3 for 1, the 2 units that are in the D tier for the specific archetypes. Like they are both really good in Ray.
Give me a second. Yeah, as Sip was talking, I've updated the tier list. So we moved both 1-drops that are 2/3 to weak unless specific leader, because we think they work really well with Ray. We've also downgraded Echo because I think we overestimated him at the beginning, and we lowered him to weak unless specific leader because you need a really specific deck to make him amazing. And I think at first we thought that a 4-mana 4/4 would be a decent stat line, but I think after considering all the cards, if you don't use his ability, he is not that strong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I would also want to add that I think, like as I said, Villainy was really good. They had really good cards, but I think the battle of the light and dark side in this set is won by the light side.
Yeah, and you can also see that in the first pick category we have 3 cards from Heroic Red, which like suggests slightly that the red units, the red color might be really good. Like they're gonna be all good in Han. So yeah.
Yeah, and also I think there is more cards that are really good in Heroic. I don't think there is a big difference between power level from Heroic and Villainy. And I actually think that Villainy has a little bit more interesting leaders. But Han and Ray may dominate the limited portion.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, thank you guys, and have a nice day.